I'm Bobby. I'm the executive director of the Salt City Film Fest. I'm here with Sheri, the programming director, and I'm here with Kendall behind the studio of Knackle Studios.
Hello. How are we doing today?
Podcast number 2.
Number 2. What'd you think of 1?
I thought 1 was great. If you haven't listened to it or watched it, you need to.
Well, and I'll tell you, and I'm probably going on a tangent, what was interesting was I got excited halfway through, like, I want to go. I actually entered a photograph, so.
Yay.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, have you?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
I haven't got approved yet. There's a lot of stress around here right now.
The photographs are a little different bag where she has that scenario where we can only book in so much in our time slots, where the photos are going, we're still figuring out if we can print them, but we're definitely going to play them digitally in between films. And I want to have a monitor out in the lobby.
Oh,
so
nice.
they can go through and you can see all the entries. So
That's nice.
So yeah, it's the acceptance rate on photos is more like if it wasn't denied for explicit reasons or just
It's in.
Not yeah, basically we
It's
can.
in.
Yeah, because I want to create a slideshow that can loop and run so we can see them at the different venues.
I'm looking forward
So
to that
yeah,
part.
plan on seeing your photo. It was a great photo.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope I have a shot.
Yeah.
I don't know any judges yet, but I'll work on that.
Yeah.
What do we got for today, guys?
I think we're going to talk about how to attend a film fest. Last episode was what is a film fest? And so we'll probably duplicate a little bit, but
The number one question I got when I went business to business last year was not when is it or what's playing. The number one question is what is a film festival? So that made sense to begin there. But then where you go from that is it's not like going to the movies in your local town, and watching the new Tom Cruise thing and you grab popcorn and you're there 2 hours. This is more of a full day event or multi-hour. You're certainly not just I feel like you get more of your money's worth at a film festival because you're going to see so much more and you have more interaction with the actual filmmakers and other audience members where you don't typically stick around the lobby of the theater in your local town and talk about the movie or have like a cocktail hour afterwards. So it's more of a commitment for your day than just running out for dinner and a movie like with your date.
yeah, I think if you think of a music festival,
Yeah.
so festival being the operative word here, a film festival is a lot like that. You're going to see a lot of films. You're going to spend the day or maybe 2 or a day and a half and, watch what you want. So that's really the format is several independent films, and we put those films into what we call a block because these are sometimes short films. They might be 4 minutes, they might be 12 minutes, they might be 30 minutes, but there's a block of films that admission for is $5, and you can easily choose which blocks you want to go to. But there will be, I don't know for sure. I'm trying to cram a lot of blocks in Saturday.
These blocks can be very specific to a certain niche too. So one might be a romance block or a horror block. In this case, a very unique one for us would be the agricultural block that we may not be able to do again for several years. It depends on the entries that we get. So if that is your entry, which we've done locally, unofficially, we've held screenings for ag films because we knew there was an audience that would come to that. But in this particular case, once we release those blocks here soon, tomorrow is our final deadline, which is worth mentioning. August 1st is the last deadline for us to accept films. So then we can start figuring out what those blocks are. And then we'll start marketing those blocks. So if your interest is student films, you'll know when that's going to play and at what location. So it kind of can pertain to a unique individual for their interest, whether it be something like ag or horror. Or you can be just a cinephile like we are and come and just be surprised by all these things that you're not going to see at the local theater on a certain release
I've seen
date.
them all, and I'm ready to see them again. So we have a bunch of really good films this year. So stepped up our game since last year.
Not just more films, but I think we also have a lot more runtime. We have more features.
We do
than
have
last year.
runtime, and that's something I'm kind of struggling with the program is when do we start? May end up starting at 9:00 on Saturday. So
That might be where to put the agriculture.
Well, those
they're
guys
up
like
early.
to get,
So-
yeah, farmers like to get up early, don't they?
Yeah, they do. So it's a supply and demand kind of determines sometimes the categories. And we were talking about agriculture, might not see it for 2 years.
Well, it's not
Sometimes,
so
yeah.
much demand; it's supply. I mean, we're at
What
the
we have, yeah.
Okay.
we're at the mercy of the entry.
Okay.
And we mentioned before, we do, if we know of a certain filmmaker that's wrapping something up that we've worked with, we might reach out and offer them like a waiver to try and coax them into entering our festival. But I would say at least 95% are people who found us through Film Freeway and our marketing approaches and things like that. The vast majority are not people that we have personally reached out to. But it doesn't, if we know about a good ag film and we know we have 5 good ones and we need another one, then we might do a little recruiting and researching to see if we can fill out that block.
Okay.
So that, it does happen a little bit, but just getting through the ones we had entered, because I think we're more than double than last year now, has already been what a tedious task for our
Yeah.
programming team that Sheri's running. So
Yeah, we've got 7 active program screeners, so they're screening the films right now and rating those. And out of the 138 films,
Wow. 138.
138
too.
films entered.
Wow.
So right now we're zoning in on about 45.
Okay.
we just had another really good feature entered like 2 days ago, and we were going, okay, we know the filmmaker's local, and we know that it's someone that is very supportive of this independent community, and the film is good. And now, just like that wrench for Sheri, it's such a great problem, but I spent most of my morning calling various venues to see what options we have, and I'll be meeting with Josh next week to really hash out what my availability is at the Fox for this. But you just all of a sudden get another 90 minutes tacked on that you really don't want to walk away from or turn away. And so that led to, I was not planning on calling other venues today, but I made a couple phone calls that I'll update you
Awesome.
on more. See if we can try
That
and
will
squeeze
help
in a
out.
Thursday or a Sunday or
Yeah.
something else on Friday. But yeah,
That's
this is
awesome.
tomorrow's the deadline, so then we can really hash. So hopefully by our 3rd podcast, we're marketing more of the actual blocks.
Yeah,
and we want to
exactly.
get some of these filmmakers in to help promote their films too.
That would be awesome.
As we can get down to that too.
So 138 submissions, and you guys are going to essentially clip it down to how many?
45.
45.
Roughly, yeah.
That's a
Yeah, well,
that's a
it
big
may
number to change.
may even be less than 45 if we get another feature.
What was
This-
the total runtime? I didn't look after that last one.
I don't know.
I mean,
It's
if you
around
watched-
15 hours.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Wow.
a lot of total runtime for us to judge and give like fair critiques to, and
That is
doesn't count.
competitive.
It is, and it doesn't count our script writing competition and our photography competition, as we mentioned too. We've been pushing those pretty hard also. So hopefully a lot of content for people to consume of different mediums.
And I know, and I'm not recalling it specifically, but when we first started discussing this, talking about last year and the number of submissions, et cetera, there's some growth here.
Yes,
I
definitely.
mean, that's incredible.
Not only growth in numbers, but growth in quality. I mean, it's really increased the filmmaking capability that we're seeing, even from the student filmmakers.
Yeah.
So we do have a category. I don't know if we talked about that last time, did we, Bobby?
For which,
For student films. So we do have a student film category.
and I would love to like once we kind of narrow that down more too. We do know we'll have the student section for sure. We'll probably have that every year. I can't imagine that we wouldn't, but
Actually, they're sprinkled in this year.
oh, instead of in one specific block. So, well, and so that's where it depends on the quality too, Kendall, because some of these students are producing professional level, and so Sheri might encourage them to enter instead of the student block, maybe enter a different category that she thinks they could be competitive in. If
Are
they
these
feel like they're-
students from HCC?
It depends. I mean, last year we had international through HCC.
Okay.
Yep.
We have a
not as-
China
Yeah, not
China
as many.
student again.
I wish more of my students had entered, but not as many as I was hoping up to this point.
But when you say student, a lot of these are going to be from a university or college, and so they have
Could be high school.
access to high-level tools.
Potentially, and probably even more so than some of the independent filmmakers in the area who might only have a DSLR at their disposal, where they might actually have access to. I know KU has an ARRI camera, HCC has red and black. We have 312K cameras, so you make an interesting point. An 18-year-old might actually have access to a better camera than a 30-year-old independent producer, depending on what their film is and what part of the program they might be in, and so on.
I've been to your shop, and they have better access than a 53-year-old podcast studio owner. I mean, I'm like, Jill, that was like the first time you walk in. I'm pretty sure he's going to dog my cameras. But they do have a lot of great tools. A lot of great tools. So we have 138. You've got to narrow that down in the 40s. And is that process, how does that work?
So that's where the screening team comes in. My screening team comes in with the 7 screeners that I mentioned, and there's a rubric that scores each film. So each screener takes that film, watches it through, and then scores it. And last year, I think we cut off at 6.5. And just to show you how the scores are coming in this year, it looks like 7 or 7.5. I mean, things are scoring high. So
that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. So that kind of helps with cutoff. Then the trick is, how do you curate those and put them together into what the program's going to be? But
okay.
Sheri works off a flag system that is through Film Freeway, is part of their platform that is really well put together for a film festival with a small team. So if Sheri gives it, say, like a black flag, then we know we don't want everyone to watch it because the quality might not be there. It might even be a broken film. It might not even be an upload that
sound
worked.
Might be terrible.
Yeah, so she'll flag it like that to save our all volunteer screening team the trouble there. And then after they and then she'll flag it if it's like a student film, because that helps with specific ratings, and things might change a little bit. Students get a bump. They have their own category that they get 1 out of 10 on. And they're just an automatic 10 for that to help push up a little bit. So it's kind of their handicap, I guess you might say. And then there's a comment section that I find really valuable, because I don't want to rate them as a rubric, but I might type in and say, this film is really, really well done. I think audiences might like it in a specific block, but that's just a comment for us to kind of chew on. The other judges can also leave a comment like, I think this would be a great one for Stratico. We'd like to go a little darker with Stratico, a little more sinister and scary. So we might see a film and go, this would be good for Stratico, just as like a thought. So the comment section is how we easily communicate amongst around a dozen people, depending on what phase of the year we're in.
Right, because they're all logged in.
Instead of just a whole bunch of text groups, which we already have that too. And email change. But Film Freeway has been a fantastic tool.
It has.
For the percentage that they take.
Well, and I'm going to remind everybody, Stratico is September 26th. What time is that going to kick off?
That was part of our yesterday's
we're still working on it.
We're still working on it because we have so many good films.
Yeah.
And so Stratico, I think, is going to be a double feature scenario.
Yep.
So you're going to get to go down and see 2 blocks for the price of 1. Yeah. And
that was a yesterday conversation.
That was
so
a
that's
yesterday
very
conversation. So hopefully start at 7 and probably go to 10.
Oh, wow,
11.
3 hours.
But we want to open the doors up early so people can see the museum, get a drink, check out merch and snacks. We'll do popcorn and things. And so that's what Patrick's task right now is to reach out to those people and find out how soon we can get in and how it works with getting downstairs. And they say to budget about 30 minutes when you show up before you're actually going to get through everything downstairs and all of that. So,
well, when you say downstairs, it's 650 feet.
Yeah, yeah, not down the stairs, I suppose, but
and that's an incredible
down
experience
to
in itself.
So that's a great point to foot stomp is if we say screens at 7, get there at 6.
Yeah.
Because, you're going to have to go down in the elevator, which is scary, and go down in the elevator, and then there's a little walk. I remember, to the theater.
It's not too bad.
It's a bit of like you're going to spend 10 minutes getting to the actual room that we'll screen in. Then you can rip off your helmet and get a drink and so on, and then we'll do an intermission. So if you didn't get to see like Mr. Freeze's costume, then there'll be 30 minutes there to use the restroom and go check out is it considered a museum?
I don't know. It's kind of a museum. There's a little gift shop. You can buy some salt.
They have gift shops, and they have. I just think it's cool to be down in that. You can see some of the original machinery that they used when it was an operational mine on that side. So we want it to be more than just a film experience. It's more than that too, because you're going to get to see something down underground that is really unique to anybody that's like gone to these festivals.
And when you do get off the elevator, my experience was this environment just surrounds you. You're somewhere special, and
you're kind of like, where am I?
The visual's incredible down there. So what a neat deal. So it's going to be like going to the airport. Get there early.
Yeah, a little early.
A little bit.
You don't want to miss that first round.
They make you do a little safety video too. I don't remember if they made our group do that last year.
They
since
didn't
we
make
came in
me
as a
do
group.
it, but maybe they.
I know if you go and like pay for the day tour, that's part of you. Maybe
they might just gauge people and kind of looked at Bobby and said, maybe we need to cover some things here.
He was already down there and setting up, and so I'm just like, you got to take me down. I'm with Bobby, and they're like,
so they just sped it up.
He looks like someone that might wander off.
Get lost in those things.
So, spirit of independent cinema. Let's jump into that and explain what that is and how this fits.
We talked about it a bit on the last one, but I do think it's really important to understand that like the independent film community is a different level of passion because it's not got the same monetary turnaround that the studio system has, where their focus is engaging an audience that they know is going to show up and pay for tickets and sign up for their streaming. With this, I feel like the independent community really has a story to tell that isn't driven by ticket sales, but driven by a passion that they wanted to express. And one of my students last week, maybe I can get her to enter before the end of the week. She just turned in her summer film, and it made me tear up. It was very emotional. It was so well done. It was so beautiful. And she had a really, really horrible summer in her family, and she brought that out in her film. And it's not something that she did to win awards or to sell it for a lot of money. This was something that she was emotionally holding in, and by expressing it through cinema, that helped her cope with that. I think independent cinema is unique in that from what most people think of when they go to the movies. And the film festival is designed and meant to encapsulate that for our audiences and to give these filmmakers a chance to show what was in their heart when they wrote that script and decided to produce it.
Well, the spirit of independent film for me is from a watcher perspective, finding that gem, that diamond in the rough that, you're not going to find watching Netflix or even going to the Regal Theater. You're just not going to find it. You're not going to be exposed to those stories like Bobby was saying, or, find that gem. And this gem that you watch might bring you to tears in 7 minutes.
Yeah, hers was not even 4 minutes long. It was just so well done.
In today's society of quick consumption, the format that we have at the festival, I think, is ideal for tasting and watching different things that you've never seen before, different stories.
And I think what I'm getting excited about is how it's shot differently and how each person, I guess, grabs the creativity, because film can be so different with just subtle changes. And I think a lot of them are going to be using equipment that maybe not quite Hollywood level.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're very creative.
Yeah, got to be inventive,
coloring,
and resourceful.
Sound, their transition approach. There's so many things that
when we produce films, we might call a specific cinematographer or camera operator or an editor just for that style that we know that can bring to that story. So it's not just one individual, really expressing themselves, but I love the team environment of it, the eclectic group that helps put that together. And sometimes you're just wanting that person who you know is going to be prompt and is going to work hard and be nice to work with. But other times you might go, this person shoots really good in low light, and I know that or if I ever need like a gimbal, I hate gimbals personally as a cinematographer. So I'll call like Jordan Horsch, who loves his gimbal and just makes these beautiful seamless shots because he's a huge David Fincher fan. And so that fascination of him being a cinephile himself has come through in his work. So if I want to like recreate that kind of look, who that team might be to really make so independent has this ability to have everyone has a chance to kind of bring something to the table, where if you're working on a big studio Hollywood set, you're you're going to just be that gaffer. You're going to just be the catering. You're not going to do all that. And in our case, the screenwriter often is the person who has to run and grab lunch because we're setting up for the next shot, And so everyone has a different commitment to it, a different passion. So
it's a budget thing, I guess, going in.
It's very tight budgets or no budget.
No budget?
Yeah.
No budget. A few no budget films out there.
But then if you done like we've done before, but it's a lot of work in incorporating crowdfunding. So now your audience gets to be a member of this, and that's so rare in the large systems. Where and we talked about before, like Sheri has donated to one of my projects, so she went from being an audience member to being a contributor through the Seed and Spark contribution. So you have a way to engage yourself in the independent world that you just can't really donate to the new Superman, I guess, outside of going to the theater itself.
Buying a ticket.
Yeah, buying your ticket. But in this case, if you contribute to that, sometimes they'll do like a signed poster or a Zoom call with you if you donate, or executive producer credits for a certain level. So now you're able to engage in independent the way you just really can't do in the major market systems.
How many of these filmmakers are submitting a film they want to get to the next level in distribution?
All of them.
All of them. So every one of them.
Definitely the majority. I mean,
well, I don't know.
I mean, I mentioned what Tashayla did, and she really had something to get off her chest. And for her, when we were talking about this, I asked her if I could share it with the rest of my students in my summer program, and she said that was okay. But she goes, I still have a whole lot more I want to do with it.
Okay.
Whether that sell it is kind of unique to each individual, but she still has more to get off her chest. But the deadline was this week to wrap up this summer class. So, and deadlines are good because otherwise you might sit on it for 10 years. So it's nice that she got something. But I think we all still have a bigger story we'd like to tell, especially if it's in short form. So you see something under a half hour, they may have way, way, way more fleshed out than in the long run.
Might just be a pilot. Yeah.
It might just be a pilot. It might just be a single scene. A lot of my short films are just a scene of what I would like the feature to be. And so that way you still have your beginning, middle, and end. You bookend it so that, you're going to roll credits, but it might end up being a 2-hour piece when you get all that commitment and funding or whatever it might be.
I said all of them, but I think some of them just need that story told, especially the short films, as far as getting somebody to buy a short film, how's that going to happen?
It's tough. But this is a resume builder. It helps if you can show, if you're gaining audience, if you are fortunate enough to win an award, which is completely subjective. So that's why my favorite award, everything I go to is always audience choice, because I feel like that's the most honorable one, even if our rubric is tight and we have 20 people reading it through. But building that resume is really important. So if they take it to a distributor, they take it to an agent, it's really tough to go, look, I made this 15-minute thing. But if they go, look, I made this 15-minute thing and it played in these festivals and these audience members gave me these accolades, now you're a potential investor or distribution. It has a whole new, these people are financiers and everybody wants to bet on the winning horse, and independent films, especially independent short films, there's so many, so the percentages of getting that grand slam is low, but it's really, really low if you don't have a resume and an audience backing it and proven interest in the film before you take it to. There's the American film market, there's Film Hub, there's private investors. All of them want to see that the horse winning. They want to see you moving down the track in the right direction, and things like our festival. Just a laurel to get in is a nice help. But then if you walk away with an award, then that really does boost your chances of continuing to gain that audience.
Now, with what we do with our other business, dealing with artists and authors locally, a lot of those guys start collaborating. Is that something that you
Absolutely.
see? That now somebody's being introduced, they've never met, they're seeing each other's style or ability, and now they're working on. Is that something that happens often?
I've seen Patrick Poe act in like 8 different independent filmmakers things, and he's a great filmmaker himself, but he likes acting, and people see he has some range, and all of a sudden you're just like, oh, Pat's in it. Is that one of their films? No, he's just acting in it. I see. and Lolo is often categorized as a crew member in cinematography. I've seen it all the time on things that she didn't write, she didn't produce, didn't edit, but she's a good camera operator. So that couple alone in the Kansas City film market and Wichita market, when I met them a decade ago, it was just the films they made. And now I see them working on stuff a couple a year easily that I just catch.
A myriad of partnerships that I witnessed that started at Doc Sunbeck. I mean, filmmakers, well, that's where I met you, Bobby, but and Patrick and Lolo, but Gina Bryant and Roy, and they're another couple duo. They collaborated with Pat and Lolo. It's a huge thing. I mean, teaming up is better. You got more equipment, more crew.
Gina and
more
Roy,
actors.
Gina and Roy were partnered with Nate, and he works at Exploration Place, which led to me screening on my first dome theater at Exploration Place because their friend Nate saw one of my films that fit in with the theme of a different film. So I ended up getting to be the opening act for a feature documentary on a dome theater, all starting with just hanging out at the festivals. And then they saw something and they got to know you, got your card. And then you're screening at a whole other event that's like ticket sales and stuff. It wasn't even, a festival. Then it's actually some level of distribution. So those connections are completely invaluable. First day of film school, they told me it's not about what you know, it's about who you know.
Yep.
And I wanted so badly to not embrace that because I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to get good at this, but that couldn't have rang more true. You can be a really amateur like camera op or something and get on set and get some really cool experience because you met the right person that gave you an opportunity. So,
and you're also going to learn. I mean,
and it's all about progressing always.
That's the only reason I went to HCC to see what you do is I want to get better at what I do.
The best education I've had is working with students because I'm always trying to I got a new lesson plan I got to do. I got to give feedback on this film. They're making me better every day. It's like my grad school times 10, just being down there every day. So,
what kind of talent do we have here in Kansas?
I personally have worked with some of the best cinematographers in the industry around Kansas. Jordan Horsch, Justin Carey, Alexis Cruz is still my first call for editing. She was one of my old students. She's a teacher at WSU and runs their equipment. And that's just kind of tickling the local area. We have some of the best drone pilots in the country. We're fighting 40 mile per hour wind gusts on a regular basis. These guys really know how to go out there in almost hurricane level winds and fly a drone and tell a story. I mean, the thing about the Midwest though, that really stands out and rings true from my friends in the industry is we are, in the Midwest, we are a jack of all trades. Anybody in the Midwest can set up their own lav. Anyone in the Midwest at least knows how to put together a C-stand, get a light lit, adjust the exposure triangle. And when you're in LA and you're working in Chicago, Atlanta, I mean, those guys are like, I just hold boom pole. Do not ask me to touch that tripod.
Oh, really?
And if you get into the smaller markets, we have this more like Robert Rodriguez approach of 10 people or less on set, and we all have multiple hats. And so I wouldn't even say master of none, more just we're not intimidated by, I can be an audio guy when that audio guy doesn't show up, even though it's not my forte. I'd much rather be a visual person. But the number of times we didn't have the budget for an audio guy is almost more than not. So one of the producers might be lobbing them up, might be setting up the boom pole for a student to operate. So I think the Midwest gives you this blue collar approach to we just don't complain and we just go tell that story.
Midwest nice.
Yeah.
Midwest nice and Midwest handy. We can
just
do it all.
Things one of my students,
somebody's got to do it.
He got a CDL license because he wants to be able to drive big grip trucks and stuff. If you get into New York, half of them don't have driver's license. They can't even get you across the city. But here, every single person can back up a trailer. Just things that you don't really think
about. I don't
know
about every.
Well, at least multiple people on set can handle it. If one person's
I can't
sick.
back up a trailer.
But it's a unique. Our unique thing is that we can do a lot more than just one thing. We're not one note, and we don't complain much. We've worked in 100. I shot in 0 and 100 degrees in the same 6 months for one company, all outdoors every time, rain, snow, whatever we shot, because they just needed those videos out fast. It was a marketing team, so. People in the Midwest don't complain and whine. They go tell that story.
Oh yeah, I can see that. I've worked with some people on the coast. Sheri, what kind of impact are we going to have when all these people come into the Hutchinson We call it Salt City, but what kind of impact does it make on our community? Do you see?
Well, I think for the community, I mean, even area businesses, so people can come and go on Saturday to the Fox. They're not down below like Straticonite, but they can come and go to the Fox. So it's going to bring people to the community. You know, your area restaurants and bars are going to see some profit from this, you know, and as we bring more and more audience in, you know, the filmmakers become aware of the growing community that Hutchinson is. They like to come back and visit. They like that small town feel. Hutch still has it. You know, I think it's great for the community. And it's a great place to shoot a film, too.
Well, and Hutch has, Kimberly and I'm from Derby. And
I'm from Derby.
I'm not going to hammer it too hard. I had to go down to see Mom Thursday.
Uh-huh.
And Derby does not have a downtown. And I call it, they just didn't, Kim and I got to the point, like, it doesn't have a soul, doesn't have a vibe.
Right.
Hutch has that. The parking out front here is terrible because of the Sage River Market coffee shop. I mean, it's always bustling except for Sundays and Mondays. Mondays, everything's closed down here for some reason.
Yeah, it is.
Everywhere.
Yeah. But on Saturday, this is just a September Saturday, it could be pretty phenomenal just being out and about downtown Hudson.
Hutch has 2 breweries now, or 3? 2?
2, yeah.
2 breweries.
We got a problem. It's okay.
No, that's a great environment to just talk, like a coffee shop.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
You know, so.
And a lot of film festivals are ran by city governments, tourism boards, that kind of thing, because it is well known that it can draw a crowd from that, you know, that might not come to that city in that case. We aren't, but we still have that same interest. We want our sponsors to have people show up to see what they have to offer, whether it's a restaurant or whatnot. So it can absolutely bring in people we're hoping to bring in more people from Great Bend. We put a lot of posters out there last year, McPherson, Pratt. So you have all these places within like an hour radius that I think would also be really interested in coming here, which kind of brings up we're also going to be at the Kansas State Fair this year, right next to the butter sculpture. We got that official. So we're hoping to see all these people and get them back to Hutch just, you know, a couple weeks after the fair, if we can try and grab all these other Kansas.
I bet a lot of people in Kansas don't even know where the state, quote unquote, state fair is. So, you know, just coming to Hutchinson for the fair is a draw.
Oh, yeah. Then like 300,000 people over that, I think, 10 days.
10 days, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. The Comic-Con's kind of a big deal, too. I think we're getting bigger.
when we're talking about community, I want to just segue here a little bit. So we have a unique opportunity this season, for a more church type community, Mennonite to be specific, because we have a film called Where the Cottonwoods Grow that the filmmaker is in Canada, Dale Hildebrand, and a lot of the area Mennonite churches are really, really wanting to come see this film. They missed it the last time he was in town. I don't know when that was, but he came in from Canada and showed it at Bethel College, and they're wanting to see it. And
why are the Mennonites wanting to see it so bad?
Mennonites?
Yeah.
The Mennonites are wanting to see it because it's the story of how they migrated from Ukraine and Russia to Canada and primarily Kansas. Wow. So the Mennonites migrated here, you know, back for religious reasons. They wanted to avoid they are pacifists, so they wanted to avoid being drafted into the war in Europe. So they took the long trip, and this film tells that story. So,
Are you guys like part of your marketing? We're going to get sidetracked. Do you guys can give a personal invitation to churches to come see it? And
actually, I just been starting that this week, but nice. I have two churches, Eden Mennonite Church, which is the church I grew up in. I'm a Mennonite. So they are putting it in their Sunday bulletin.
Nice.
So
might have to do like a little teaser on that.
Yes. Ideally, I'd like to get Dale Hildebrand in Canada on a podcast, but I don't know if that's going to work because he's shooting.
He is shooting. Can't get him away for 5 minutes and by phone.
I don't know.
We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, and this is where like the press kit really helps too. Their movie posters, their trailers, headshots, director bios, and director statements help us to put some of that marketing together. and we'll do it per block, but on the features, we try to get them like some specific marketing too.
Okay.
And that's where Sheri's reaching out to churches that knows that they might have interest in that particular subject matter.
Yeah, he doesn't know if he's going to be able to attend, like I said, but he said when he has attended film festivals, he said the Mennonite community, and not just Mennonites, but people that appreciate immigration and that kind of thing will surround him. Mm-hmm. He said my Q&As can go like an hour.
I believe
really.
it.
Yeah.
Wow.
He said
that's how the Obermites got here. The Mennonite church sponsored my grandma and grandpa. My dad was the first Obermite born in America because of the Mennonite church. So
that's awesome.
Yes, it does hit home for us. These films can hit home in a lot of different ways.
So that's a community that'll
show up for that.
Show up for this film.
Well, I'm looking forward to see what's in the agriculture. I don't keep going back to that. I'm not a farmer. My ex-wife had me get one, but anyway, I'm curious of what that looks like. What are some of the stories you're going to see in that? If you've seen,
it's pretty varied. So you're going to see some conservation stories. You're going to see some wildlife stories. You're going to see a small piece about taking over the family farm, if you will. So it's kind of a hodgepodge, but all kind of tied to farming or agriculture or wildlife.
That's awesome. So, and I've talked to the city about this. This is going to put you on the spot. Looking through your show notes, what is the city's role as far as helping the festival? And that's something we've asked them with the different events we've done.
Sure.
What does Hutchinson need to do? The populace, the government, whoever, what could help you guys be successful? You got to smile. You got something on your mind.
The big thing being the tagline, just watch. We want people to come. Obviously, we've talked about blocking off First Street and adding like food trucks and things out front. And future events that we probably won't entertain this year quite so much. But that was something you and I talked about a long time ago, was just the amount of work that goes into that, the amount of work that goes into just your liquor license.
Right.
For that even temporary event is just trying to get those types of things through is quite a process. The paperwork side is quite a process. Having the insurance, I think it took Pat and I several weeks to track down the right insurance policy just to protect us based on the types of things we were trying to do and protect the Fox and protect Stratica. So I think when it comes to the community, the obvious thing is we want people to come out. We'd love more sponsorship from people who want to help support something like this, and we want to have those partnerships. But yeah, just like getting through the paperwork is a big component of it that you don't really think about when you think about just going to a film festival. You don't think about that insurance policy or the fact that you can buy Bud Light at this one minute. Someone had to go to multiple places and figure out that paperwork and pay that fee and then post it up on the door. So it's a lot of the white collar stuff that doesn't get, on the movie posters and on the Facebook page that really makes this thing happen and be a reality.
Yeah. Just when you talked about insurance, of course we do it for all our events. That's a heck of a process. I'll give you who we've been with now for 7 events and real happy with, but just like the first time you're like, this is a nightmare.
I got quoted $48,000 for an 18-day shoot one time and it took like 2 weeks to get it all back. But some of these insurance companies will not tell you no. They'll just tell you the price it takes to make it doable.
The Robert Downey Jr. number from back in the day.
Yeah, the Lindsay Lohan cocaine. It's kind of that. With some of them, they're going, well, we don't really do that, but here's our cost if we were to insure a Panavision package. You're going, why didn't you just say no?
That'd make it a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. But we want the community to come. That's what we really need from the community.
We need them to watch first and foremost, just watch. But
then they can see where they can get involved.
Yeah, they can gauge
they might go become a filmmaker.
Whether this is going to fit the community or not. And I think that the way we're programming this and the films that we choose keep the community in mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, if the chamber could just come watch, city officials come watch, we're not trying to be something weird or different for Hutchinson. We're not. No. We're trying to embrace the culture and the people that are here. We're catering to the Hutchinson and Midwest type community more than like we other populations. Yeah.
We try to work with the local breweries instead of like a franchise.
Yeah.
For instance, like we're not going to hold our after party at Applebee's. Like we want to go to Sand Hills and support Pippin and his team because we know how they're good to us and we want to be good to, like, so you really it's that Main Street vibe that you're talking about, and that's what we want to be ingrained in. That we want to be in that cool group.
Well, and that goes back, and again, I'm from Derby, so I'm not trying to be mean. That soul,
the soul,
right.
The soul of it, this is an element, and that was part of our conversation. What does Derby have, similar to a Comic-Con, similar to a state fair, similar to a film fest? That all those pieces, the big car show in October, I mean, all those pieces make this community better. And I think that's the message. Just watch is awesome, because once you do, maybe it's something you're totally bought into and want to help out in the future.
Yeah, and Hutch has a beer fest, the Hutch Fest. Obviously, the Kansas State Fair is iconic, and that's one of the reasons why I've been to these things my entire life, like rod runs and toy runs and parades, and my students film like the Christmas parade every year, and we're going, this could work here. I knew it would take a year or two to really explain to the community what it is and let them know that we're committed. But I see other fests that are shoulder to shoulder up and down Main Street. I know it could absolutely be an effective festival for the community and for our filmmakers.
And that's what makes Hutch better. Now we've got 2, possibly 3 venues.
Possibly a third.
There's double
fingers crossed.
Double finger crossed. That's really
I really don't want to cut some of these films. Like I mentioned, they're all scoring 7 and above, and I need another venue.
Well, I had to coach volleyball one time in Andover Central, and I had 39 girls go out and only could keep 20. And that was one of the worst coaching experiences I've ever had. So I can't imagine what you're sitting there and you're seeing, because that 15 through 25.
Yeah. Just yesterday, I told Bobby I have this film about the making of a photojournalist, and it is so good. I mean, this is Hollywood quality. It's 45 minutes long.
Which is a nightmare runtime for a festival organizer.
Yeah, 45 is hard.
Short, and it's not long enough to book it out as a feature. So then you're trying to find one to be an opening or maybe bookend it with 2 smaller ones.
It's tough.
But when it's really good, and it's something I tell my students, if you're going to make it over 30 minutes and under an hour, it better be really damn good.
Well, if Bobby gets another venue, Mazel tov, we got it cured, right?
We do.
All right, so we've got the Stradica, 650 feet down on Friday, the 26th of September. 27th is the Fox Theater, which I'm real excited about, having been in there. Phenomenal place. What are you thinking on 3rd?
The phone calls I made today were to some friends at Stringer Fine Arts. They put over $20,000 into their projector recently.
Okay.
The seating's new. The acoustics aren't. I mean, it's really more theater, and they do a lot more theater and they do a lot more concerts in there. But I've screened multiple films in there and enjoyed it. And my good friends run that theater, and they were kind of my backup plan initially early on. And as Sheri's talking about some of the subject matter and some of the things she wants to do with this, they have the parking and the space and the number of seats. And I know the guys who run it know their system and everything really, really well.
That'd be great.
Local friend put in the all the audio devices recently, and the projector, like I said, is brand new. It's really state of the art.
And where is that?
It's at the college.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the college, the film program I run is sponsoring the student block. So the college is involved, and it's community college, so they really like to get involved. This was something that I've kind of had. We have multiple places we could screen at the school, but Stringer Fine Arts is gorgeous. So it comes down to, I wasn't even going to mention it today, but that's the one that I would probably be my next choice because of that relationship. It's right here in the middle of town. Like I said, the parking's great. You just go through all these avenues that work really, really well for what I think she's trying to do with some of these films. But one of my main goals, and fortunately, Joy calmed me down on this last year, but I really wanted to do a block of sci-fi or documentary films at the Cosmosphere as well.
Oh, yeah.
I would love, because they're also wonderful people to work with. We just didn't get that kind of subject matter last year, and we really needed to focus on 2 venues on the first year. So when Sheri says a third venue, my anxiety goes up a little, but I also I'm total agreeance. If we have people who want to see these films and the films are good, let's go book another venue and get the paperwork started if that's something that's doable. And we have other backup plans. We could always put up a really private, small screening at my studio at the college. We have the Arts Center. We have Stage 9. And, of course, the Cosmosphere has multiple places to screen at in their facility. It doesn't just have to be the Dome Theater. And quite frankly, I probably would choose one of their other rooms first for these types of films. But just the ambiance when you walk in and, you see shuttles and you're seeing all this history and science. I would love to have like a sci-fi or a documentary block at that venue in the
that'd be a home run.
Yep.
That would be an absolute
next year, if you have space on your storyline, send us your entry next year.
If you've got some sci-fis, because we didn't get a bunch of those the first 2 years, but we might get 20 next year. That's kind of that we just don't really know. So these venues are part. So if it was a very artsy block, art documentaries, art films, then I would want to call the Art Center and use their projector and their space if that was. So it kind of, again, depends, but we have options in Hutch. We're not a huge community, but we do have plenty of venue opportunities too.
Yeah, I completely agree that there's different dynamics here in the community, different places. And I don't know if you have any relationship, but even Stage 9.
We've screened at Stage 9 before, but that was back when Lindsay Becker was the director several years ago. We've done 3 films with Stage 9, just independent films that we've co-produced with them through grants and so on. So it's always another option too.
Yeah, it's just not a one-trick pony here in Hutchinson.
No, and that's why at my first call, with the subject matter that she's talking about, when you have things like Stringer Fine Arts, then getting a liquor license through there is a lot more complicated. But if you're talking about a morning Mennonite film where we're going to bring in donuts and iced tea, it's not that we couldn't have that through them, but that's not as easy as what it was to do with Stratica, which is more geared towards that and their particular events. So it really depends on your audience and the films for which venue makes the most sense, I think, as we're planning this out. And the Fox is just iconic for all of them.
Brilliant place.
Yeah.
So what is my role as an audience member when I roll in, Friday evening, Saturday morning? What is the role of the audience? What is the audience there to do? Because it's not just watch a film.
Well, usually if you're familiar with a film festival, you've gone to one before, you've planned on going to one before. Season film festival goers probably look at the schedule a week or two ahead of time to decide what they want to go see.
Start highlighting that.
So you start highlighting it. And at least for now, we're a film festival where it's one venue at a time. Like if you go to Tallgrass Film Festival, you have a whole grid because they might have 7 venues across Wichita. And so if you say, I want to see that film, you got to plan what time you're going to see that film. It may rescreen and it may not, so it kind of becomes a challenge to plan your day. For us, if you want to come Friday, you got your day planned. It's in Stratica. If you want to come Saturday, you got your day planned. It's at the Fox. So you don't have to worry about that venue element to your schedule. But I would say for anybody, even if you're new for a film fest, go on the website or go on Facebook. We're going to have trailers there. Once we pick the program, you're going to be able to watch a trailer, kind of like you do at Netflix, sitting at home, scroll. I spend more time deciding what to watch than watching. But our trailers will be there and you'll be able to see, hey, that looks good.
Yep.
So I would say part of your responsibility is, your
wish list or something. And if you're a filmmaker that's also an audience member, you want to find like those filmmaker roundtables or those Q&A sections that you might want to jump in on and get on stage and promote your film. And you don't want to miss those opportunities because that's really a great chance to promote that stuff. And last year with Alexander Paul and Cynthia Geary, that was a free 30, 40 minutes roughly of them talking about their career. And then and then people could go up and ask questions. So I know people had that booked on their schedule.
Right.
For they wanted to go ask that question that they might have been thinking about since the 90s.
Well, engagement is one thing, interaction is another, and that's something a festival affords you that I'm learning from you guys.
Yeah.
And that's really going to be a unique experience. I'm looking at it as I want to be surprised by something. I mean, I'm going to look, try to consume it as a layman and say, okay, I'm going to this block, but find that gem that just kind of sets you back and go, wow, that was impressive.
The other responsibility of the audience member, whether they're a filmmaker or not, is as you're watching this, if you're curious about how that was done or why this part of the story was left out or anything like that, our Q&A after is usually about 15 minutes long.
Yeah, and pretty quick, but you can get a lot of info. If you can
think of those questions and honor the filmmaker who will be answering those, that's a great way for an audience to show appreciation.
I'm going to ask about lighting. I'm still battling lighting around here. All right, so the rise of digital filmmaking and the impact on indie films. I think I know where you're going to go with this. Is everything was shot 35 millimeter Panavision, whatever, and I'm sure that was cost prohibitive.
The thing about like shooting 8 and 16 millimeter is it's not instant gratification to know if you nailed that shot or not. You have to go back and process, or you have to ship it out to get taken care of, or someone has to create, take that negative and turn it into something that you can review. The thing that we have from our cell phone to all the digital media access now is we can shoot and know in our dailies that day if like we have something good. Other than just being more affordable, the last time I shot on 35 millimeter, I calculated my budget out to be 40% more than my digital film. And I could have poured that money into, some actors or another location or renting a second camera because we only could get one IMAX camera for that particular 3-day period. So I think digital just really opens up the creative process in a different way. You can give your actors a lot more leeway. You can try things that you can't normally try. When we shoot on film, we have to do rehearsal and rehearsal and rehearsal because once we're out of canister film, then we're ordering from Kodak again, and it's just starting that process again. So I think what I love for my students, what I love for low-budget cinema is you can really try something different that you didn't rehearse. You might see something not working, and you're going, look, we didn't rehearse it that way. Let's go ahead and try because we're just going to delete that file. And when I shoot on film, like actual 35 or 16 millimeter, I feel so restricted in trying that, like just a different angle or saying the line a different way or whatever.
So you can experiment more.
You can really exercise a different creativity. It's not a different world, but it is definitely a different approach.
So you have done film.
Yeah, I've done a few films on actual film, yeah.
Okay. Now, in the photography world, cameras, and I've seen it in video, they shoot different. They look different. They have a different feel.
Yeah.
I run one camera that I need to sell it because it doesn't do anything in the studio, but it's the original Canon 5D, which when they introduced that, it was to take film guys into the digital world. So they make it look filmish. Does that frame? I don't know the technical term.
Filmish.
I mean, it's kind of a weird thing over the last couple of decades. I remember there was a period, I just saw this, we were talking about it in class last semester, where there was a period where we would put money into getting that grain out. And then I've worked with people who would download 35 millimeter film grain and throw it on top of their red camera files to make it look like film again. And I'm going, I've literally paid to have this pulled out, and now I'm seeing people pay to put it back in. So it's a style thing, and I think the beauty of it is people have access that didn't have access before.
That's the key.
That's the number one thing. Even if it's a silly little cell phone with the tiniest sensor you can imagine, if you can find a good story, that's really what is important. So I think shooting on film is important. I think it's cool when people like Scorsese still do that and Tarantino. But for me, it doesn't get me excited. I'd rather just tell the story and tell a lot of stories and not just one over the next 3 years kind of thing.
Well, I think accessibility, that's the big thing because the talent.
If you want to get a Panavision package, then that paperwork needs to start pretty early. And then you have to get the insurance. And then you finally get the package, shoot the thing, and then you got to wait for some processor to create, duplicate it into a positive, create a 4K file for you, maybe a 2K also. Then in my particular case, I had to hire specific colorists because I didn't feel comfortable coloring that the way I knew a professional colorist might. And so before you know it, you've added several steps to the process of the story. To me,
when I'm hearing you talk about film, you're saying it requires some skill. It requires a uptake in your skills to use film.
It is a different approach because you might have a film canister that is for outdoors, and you might have a film canister that's for natural light. So when we shot in the Mojave Desert, we were in a cave. We had 3/4 of our canisters were for in the cave. Our fight scene was on top of the cave out in the sand. And I remember asking the director, I was like, hey, I want to see some more fight scene. He goes, that was all that we had. And it's just a few clinks of the sword and a stab and boom, it's done. There's not really any build. There's not any drama. It's just really quick. And had we been on digital, that would have been a way more exciting scene. I'm confident of that.
Yeah, and it does give you the tool of, it could be an S-log immediately.
Yep.
And now I have also seen some of the behind-the-scene shots, and it's kind of set up like this where you're actually seeing the data real. As we shoot this podcast, they call it a live cut.
Sure.
You can literally just hand you the USB and you can go post it.
Yeah.
All the tools, and I'm doing very little work back here. All the magic is
it's all in the pre-production.
The pre-production and the tools, because again, we're not even using a computer over here at all. This is totally independent of the computer.
Live.
It is kind of, except my internet this morning was terrible. I'm trying to Facebook, and it's like slow loading me here. I can't get through my reels.
I was having that down at the studio this morning, too.
Are
just
you
trying to download a PDF.
Are you Cox or?
I don't know exactly what they're operating. It's changed a lot through the IT department.
Well, we only got 2 choices down here. My son wrote a review of Idea Tech one time in my name when he was 10, and it was not a good review. And then they interviewed him for, call that an in-service. Bobby just left. He might come back.
Bobby left. I don't know. Bobby's bored.
So, Sheri, you're not a filmmaker.
I'm not a filmmaker.
But you have a love for the cinema.
I'm a cinephile.
Cinephile. I like that word, too. So that's not a made-up word. I've heard it before.
No, it's a cinephile.
Cinephile.
Have you ever heard of the Criterion Collection?
No, I have not.
That's a streaming channel, and they have everything.
The older stuff?
Oh, they have old, new. If you're looking for Eraserhead,
and he's back.
Yeah, if you're looking for Eraserhead and you haven't been able to find it on Netflix or Prime or anything,
all right,
the Criterion.
I'm going to make a note.
The Criterion channel. Do you ever go to? Yeah, it has everything. It's like an archive.
Yeah, if you're wanting like the old stuff, that's a great avenue to see. Like,
you want some David Lynch
like
or
original Herzog films, and not the ones that Netflix is buying up right now. I think Tubi's really great for that too.
Tubi,
and
yeah,
3D.
We get on there every once in a while.
They don't seem to mind like not having the brand new coolest thing. In fact, actually, Tubi's one of the best avenues for independent filmmakers right now.
Is it?
So if you go through Film Hub, and I have to go through a process. It took me like 3 days to get my account approved and up and running. But you put your file up on Film Hub, and you have your accolades, festivals it played in, screenings that you did. And then what Film Hub does is they act as an agent, and they take a percentage on the back end if it sells instead of taking a 10% up front or something.
Really?
Yeah. So one of their number one distributors that they operate through is Tubi, because Tubi's one of the big buyers right now.
So you can be distributed through that process.
Absolutely. There's other one. Vural is another one. I think it's VUURL. One of the things that you have to keep in mind when you're an independent young filmmaker trying to sell out to these distribution networks like streaming is ones like Tubi. They've seen, like Netflix was doing this a decade ago. They were buying up a lot, buying a whole bunch. Once they got that library and that subscription status to a certain point, they stopped buying so much and started creating their own. And so there is some speculation that Tubi will step back and not spend as much. But there's also people thinking that Tubi is motivated to stay that kind of independent platform market. So if you're trying to go through the festival circuit, one of your goals might be create a Film Hub account as well as a Film Freeway account, and then upload your trailer and your poster and your film up on that Film Hub account, and then they will help you try to sell to platforms like Tubi.
So that's
We're kind of in the middle of that process.
Yeah, Okay, so you're part of that process.
We're part of that process because if you could upload to Film Hub without doing the festival circuit, but like I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to just dive into it, get an interest from an investor or a distribution type agent without some sort of proof that the film's been out getting interest and heat, or as you might say in the industry. And if you can't show that and you don't have a big name attached or you don't have a big name, then it's going to probably just fall into the abyss of thousands of films being produced each year. But if you can show that you played at Doc Sunback and Salt City Film Fest and worked your way into these mid-level markets, and audiences were there and can reflect on that experience, now Film Hub has more to work with as they're promoting you to like Tubi.
Okay. So they act as essentially the big poster for you to get it in front of.
First step is coming up with the story. Second step's producing it. Third step is the festival market. And then fourth step would be trying to find distribution. And we act as that third step.
What does it take? If let's say Sheri and I decide we're going to be filmmakers, we shoot a great film, I want it on Netflix. Can you go to Netflix and say, hey, I got a film?
No, Netflix is extremely complicated because Netflix will only buy from sellers and buyers that work through things like the American film market and things of that nature. But Netflix won't take a call from me. They will only take a call from someone representing me. And so that's where you need to get your Film Hub or Viral or an agent to represent you.
Okay. So they have gatekeepers.
Absolutely. I think their gatekeepers have gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers have gatekeepers.
But then when you get in good with somebody, it'll be like Adam Sandler making 10 a year, and whether it's good or not.
Patrick and Lolo, almost sort of maybe.
They have theirs is on Tubi. Yep.
Yeah, it's being distributed.
And you can't just call Tubi either. You really got to set up that third party to rep you, and then they'll take a percentage. But just like our festival, without Film Freeway, we could operate, but it would be a disaster. I'm happy to give them a small percentage so that we can use their platform and their marketing and their tools, really, all of it.
Well, and that's, if there's so many gatekeepers, because again, I don't even know to begin the process, but if an independent filmmaker can get to a festival, that's that first step.
That's kind of that first step.
Get the laurel, maybe get a win, a W, and then you're starting to push it through.
I had someone reach out the other day that would cut out that Film Hub avenue, and they would act as like a distribution independent streaming for our films that do well in the festival. I haven't had a chance to really vet if it's spam or not, if it's something that's credible, because we also have the Film Hub version of the Asian market where we could have, Film Freeway version in the Asian market, and they've reached out a couple of times too where they want our festival to be represented, overseas more. The only problem is I don't see us running screenings there and things. It just doesn't make sense for our particular mission right now. But one thing that I could see that I would love to grow into is being a distribution mechanism for independent filmmakers who did well in the festival and we could hopefully be that middle ground to help nudge them instead of having to go to like Film Hub. And so that was something I haven't spoke with you about because I want to research it more. But these are things that COVID really helped with this. Because there's a thing called Zerb TV. If you haven't, it's XERB TV, I think, .com. You can create your own streaming service through there. And if it's free, it's free. The film festivals had to do this like mad in 2020. Mm-hmm. And then they could charge, say, like $3-4 a month, and then you could access the blocks. And that's what they did during that COVID period. And so that's another thing that I've distributed through that myself. Got into a festival. They loved it. I signed a contract, and my film went onto their streaming platform that was created through Zerb TV. So these are all things that I could see us graduating into, but just not a year two thing quite yet. But we would love to have more hands-on experience with the independent filmmakers even after they leave the festival. So.
Well, and let's wrap this podcast up going into what the eventual goal is, because a few notes that you made, growing on that, expanding on that, writing, budgeting, cinematography, editing, audio, all these components, and creating workshops.
Yeah.
For the filmmakers or future filmmakers. Mm-hmm. How do they start this process? I mean, there's probably some young people out there that have no idea what the first step is.
Roundtables and workshops are great.
Yeah.
That's the way that filmmakers meet, collaborate, share ideas, share equipment, actors, whatever. So those workshops are great. We haven't really added that to our repertoire yet.
It's all thing. I love teaching. I love the educational side of my experience in the film industry and sharing those experiences. And this would be kind of that I've seen festivals that have done this. Tallgrass had some workshops. I've seen workshops that were as specific as how to sell stock media, just little ways to make some money as an independent filmmaker that shoots 4K files that are half decent, all the way down to like just story structure or acting, how to direct an actor. You could never run out of concepts to teach through these workshops. And my goal for them would be either extremely affordable so that you don't have to go to a 7-figure film school, like, student loan process, or to have the different workshops sponsored so that the sponsor would cover the fees of that. So if we had to rent cameras and tripods or something, then that local sponsor could cover that fee, and then it would be free to enter. And then you have to max out on like spaces and things. So I have a lot of it in my head on how I would go about it. It's just not going to be a year 2 thing, but I really, really want to add workshops. And within the workshops, a film race is another thing that we wanted to do. A film race where we would set up a hub, and if you're having trouble with your audio recorder out in the field by the railroad tracks, you could come down, find us, and we try to help you fix that device or send you out with another one. So it'd be another one where I wanted all the teams to be mainly high school and college level, and the teams would be sponsored too. And
a film race is where we make a film in a certain amount of period.
You just start from scratch.
Okay. That would be fun.
Wrap it all up, and they are such an experience, such a rush.
Well, let me challenge you, since you've challenged Sheri so much with, hey, we need all this viewed, and you got to create all
space,
and you only get 2 theaters,
events, and so right now we're not there yet. But
well, if you wanted to dip your toe in the water at all, as far as having just one workshop on Friday or during Saturday, you guys have access to the studio here. If you guys come up with just something that's fun, just simple,
that would be really cool.
Knackle Studio's wide open for you guys, because I'll be over there quite a bit. But typically when people use our studio, we just give them a key.
So when
we hope for the best.
We're originally, it's awesome that you mentioned that, because when I originally had the idea for the film race / kind of a pit stop for you to go to when you're having issues or questions, you don't know why your camera's doing this or whatever, it was this building, because Foxtrot was going to be the ones to help spearhead the film race. And then it didn't work out. The marketing didn't get out. So there wasn't enough teams signed up. But the whole idea was, if you're a high school kid and you're struggling, you don't know what's wrong, you can't find it on YouTube, and you're out in the field, swing over by what was at that time Foxtrot Studios, and I was just going to be sitting here with my team, and we were going to try and help you assess that issue, so you could get back out and keep getting your scene shot, so you get to post.
Yeah, film race would be a really. I think
they're really cool, and they can come. I've seen them as short as 12 hours, 10 hours, as long as 3 days.
Wow!
And so my notes are 12, 24, 36, and 48 seem to be kind of the normal increments. And there's nothing quite like seeing a minivan getting sideways around the street, trying to turn that film in right before that last deadline, because it's just like you poured all your time and your energy into it. But some additional education, and some other, and the film races are like film school in a day kind of thing, for you're going to learn so much in that period. It'll be more than you take with an entire semester of school. And the other thing we're in talks with that I hope we can work out this year soon is taking us on tour a little bit. So we're speaking with the Steeple Theater in Salina about taking last year's, taking like a playlist of our better films that either
award winners,
winners, or things that got good scores, and taking those to Salina to get them on to other theaters to go out and show them. And so we're wanting to reach out.
Or these film festivals that are in Kansas that are not fixated on premieres. Yeah. I would like to see a lot more collaboration. If we've got good stories to tell and good films to screen, why not share them? Because that's good for the filmmaker. That's good for the community. I mean, just watch more films.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just watch
more films.
More films. I like that. So just watch it again. In the road shows, more films.
Hopefully next podcast we have a date for Steeple Theater as well, where we can grow that audience out there. And
that'd be great.
Pat was really hoping we could squeeze it in before the fest, but I'm not trying to force anything that they're, because they might not be available before that period. But.
Well, and as we record this, the deadline is today's
tomorrow.
Thursday,
Yep.
tomorrow Friday.
Yep, the
1st of August. Gosh, it just gets away from you. 1st of August. So in our next podcast, we're going to have a list of categories and
we'll have a list of bundles or blocks of films.
That's exciting. Maybe even have a few photographs approved. I don't know.
We'll be notifying all filmmakers by the 15th, correct?
Correct.
By the 15th. Wow, that day's coming.
Because we need them to have at least a month to make arrangements. So.
Absolutely, to join us. And we're going to end the podcast with that. Salt City Film Fest coming at you September 26th at the Straticus Salt Mine, 650 feet down. Mm-hmm. That kicks off around 7-ish. We're still on the ish part of it. Then
There'll be more
there at 6.
Be there at 6. Yeah, TSA will be waiting. And then we have the 27th, which is Saturday at the Fox Theater, going to be around 9 a.m. That's an all-day event. There's going to be plenty to do downtown, plenty of places to eat. We now have sirens actually going by as I'm saying this. So that's going to come out the 27th, 9 a.m. till, how late do you think it'll go?
9 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Hope that's not our building. So, guys, thanks for joining us for the Salt City Film Fest podcast. Bobby, Sheri, great having you in. By the way, we're now at an hour and 12 minutes.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It got away from us. I have a clock on the front I didn't use.
Man, you got to tell me to shut up.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.